and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, William Liu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. No, Masai Ujiri has not had a season-ending press conference. No, we have not gotten the alert from Raptors PR as to when it will be. So is this the worst Kawhi watch ever?
Yeah.
Masai watch?
I did hear from Josh Sue from Raptors PR today, though.
You did?
Yeah, we just chatted, though.
Oh. Did you chat about when we're going to see Masai?
No.
I mean, it's not like it's his choice. It's Masai's choice.
I leave those questions to you.
Wow.
Yeah, do you think I guess it's not happening this week? I mean, it's Thursday.
I mean, it's not going to happen on a weekend.
Yeah.
It better not happen on a weekend, man. Please.
Well, you got big plans?
Please.
You got a poker game at Ennis to go to or something?
Got to lose some money to the other network. That's the West.
Yeah, I don't know. We continue to wait for Masai.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Are you expecting him to say? I guess the main question he'll be asked is just the Nick Nurse situation.
Well, of course. I'm curious because I just want this whole thing to be over so we can like wrap up this Raptors season.
Right.
I feel like a lot of other writers probably have like year-end pieces that they want to like put out there.
They just need to plug in those 3 Masai quotes.
It's hard to do it without that press conference, though. You know what I mean? So,
no, that's fair.
I'm not saying we can't do our jobs independently of the front office, but even me, I was like, all right, I'm going to write this 10 things on the season. I'd love to hear from the main man about this whole thing. And I got sick of waiting, and I was like, here's 5. And I'll be like LeBron later on.
This guy's putting out a deluxe album. Here's 5 more for you.
This is really the deluxe 10 things. So
yeah, check that out,
Part 1 is out
on sportsnet.ca. You know, I've seen Will hard at work at the office on that. So we might talk about it in the second half because kind of an off night in the NBA playoffs yesterday, I got to say.
A little bit.
I got to say. They were on a good run, though, you know, since the start of the playoffs. So they're allowed one flop night.
I feel like game 1 is always like so exciting and there's a lot of anticipation built into it. And obviously the players are coming off a lot of rest. And then like they get into it. And then game 2 just like rarely has that like same like juice or excitement. First off, I don't know why Lakers were playing at 7:30. That was really early for a Laker game.
A lot of questions about the scheduling. Once again, Suns, Clippers, and Kings Warriors overlap tonight.
Yeah.
Happy 420.
We could have done better on this. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that game was a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
The other national TV game was also a blowout for a large portion of it. Thankfully, it got close at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to see the best of Jamal Murray. And I'm sure we will talk about all of that. And, of course, we'll circle back to the Raptors. I mean, look, listen, we will cover all Raptors news because this is the Raptors program. But, like, there is none.
You under pressure to provide Raptors coverage?
There is none, man.
There's really nothing to talk about. In terms of the Raptors. No, it's nice seeing Jamal Murray with his performance.
It's great seeing that, man.
Yeah, sure. I was really mad at the Timberwolves for making it a game and forcing me to watch their product because the Timberwolves product is not good.
Yeah, no, I mean, shouts to them for making a comeback.
Sure.
Anthony Edwards, obviously,
41 points.
Can be a very lethal scorer,
Mm-hmm.
and he has that ability. Like, when he reaches it, obviously, it's exhilarating to watch. He just doesn't reach it all the time. But, no, at least they made a game of it, and then that forced the Nuggets to actually close it out. And I thought for a second there maybe the Timberwolves might sneak it off, but I think it showed the quality of the Nuggets. Like, I think we've just taken them so for granted all season because they've been in the number 1 spot. We're not really worried about them. You know, we don't even think about the Nuggets so much, even though they are number 1 in the West this whole time. But, like, you saw towards the end there, it wasn't even Jokic who was closing it out. Like, Jokic was making good plays, as you would expect him to, made a couple of good defensive challenges. But it was like a lot of dribble handoff action, setting good screens, and they just have guys who can really, you know, score. And of course, Murray was the big portion of that. But you even saw like Michael Porter Jr., for example, hit a number of tough shots. I mean, he's just like a laser. I don't know why I'm just adopting LeBron's vernacular, but he's a laser.
Yeah,
right?
what's going on, man? You've been watching too many LeBron pressers.
I have.
Yeah,
but
no, Jamal
they
with
just
the
have
40
multiple
points.
guys
I
who are
don't
closing
care. He's
out.
old.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. Jamal with 40 points. He's now got more 40-point games in the playoffs than he does in the regular season.
Damn.
And even thinking about
Wow.
the Nuggets, like you mentioned, kind of the forgotten team because everybody else has been getting the spotlight. Like Jamal Murray, probably the biggest swing player in the Western Conference, in my opinion. Like if he's playing this well, I think you look at the Nuggets a little differently. Right?
Well, it's because you could just pencil in Jokic for a triple-double.
Mm-hmm.
And like great impact on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, you know what you're gonna get from Michael Porter Jr., even Aaron Gordon, I would say.
Yeah,
But it's Jamal Murray that's got that ceiling. Right?
I feel like every time I tune into the Nuggets, which is probably like 5 to 10 minutes at a time, I'm guaranteed to see.
Why is the altitude hitting you when you're watching?
No, I'm just guaranteed to see at least one Jokic short roll to the basket and then throw the lob to Aaron Gordon at the dunker spot. I've seen that play more than I've seen any other play this season. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm jealous of any other team.
Every single time.
I'm jealous of any other team that's able to create such easy baskets in the half court. When they make it look that easy, I'm like, oh, damn.
You want Raptors content? Here it is.
It can be like this. Oh, so we've got Michael Pina from The Ringer joining us to talk about the playoffs and the games last night. What's going on, Pina?
How you guys doing?
Good. Wanted to start with the Grizzlies-Lakers game last night. Ja Morant was obviously out for game 2, but as we've seen the past couple of seasons now, this was per your teammate at The Ringer, KOC, the Grizzlies are 33-17 without Ja Morant since last season, including the playoffs. What did you see from the Grizzlies last night without Ja?
Yeah, I think the outcome of this game says a lot about just their mettle, Xavier Tillman, their depth. He had a fantastic game. Obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. going 40 minutes and only committing 3 personal fouls is a miracle. And, Tyus Jones, Desmond, these guys are just they're really good players. And I think, though, that the result of the game says more about the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers person. I am befuddled by people who think that this team can make a deep playoff run, let alone win this series, which I still think the Grizzlies will do. It just confuses me, to be honest with you. And I'm not going to be impersonating Dillon Brooks up here saying that I don't respect LeBron until he scores 40, but like this...
I poke bears.
I poke bears is so... oh my God.
This version of LeBron that we've seen in this series, that we've seen over the past couple of weeks of the regular season when he was healthy enough to play, it's just he's clearly not the LeBron James that we're accustomed to, just rolling through whoever's in front of him to get to the NBA Finals. It's just like, it's kind of obvious to me. Not even close to as explosive, not even close to as athletic. And like you look at just the pick and roll numbers, like Austin Reeves has run more pick and rolls in this series than LeBron James. D'Angelo Russell's run more pick and rolls in this series. Like that's wild to me, honestly. And he went to the post-ups in the fourth quarter and he had success on one on Dillon Brooks early and then just got stonewalled on 2 straight possessions after that. I don't know. I love the Grizzlies. I think they play hard. I know how to kind of play together the right way. They're tremendously coached, but the Lakers aren't a very good team still, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I was chalking that game up to last night.
Yeah, I mean, for the Lakers, like they really do need to hit threes at like a reasonable clip, and I feel like that's been their weakness for obviously this before the trade deadline, and of course they've added some shooters, but I don't feel like we've fully seen that. Like for example, D'Angelo Russell, I just have not been impressed with his performance in the first 2 games here. I feel like it's either the moment's too big for him. It's not like the Grizzlies' defensive attention is even so much centered around him or that he even has that difficult of a one-on-one matchup, but his shooting has just not really been there. His playmaking, I don't feel like has been good enough. And yeah, I mean, I suppose this is kind of like the Lakers' predicament now, right? If LeBron's not going to be at his best, then you really do need these other guys to be great consistently. And that's never what you would really have said about a LeBron James-led team in the past. It was just like, LeBron's a given, LeBron's going to be excellent. Are these other guys going to be able to sort of step up in roles around them? And now it feels like, okay, now LeBron is the question mark. And I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll just get into Dillon Brooks stuff now, but like, how much of this is Dillon Brooks being like genuinely a very, very good on-ball defender, genuinely one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league, putting aside all the antics? And how much of it is just like, LeBron is just getting older and clearly he's playing through injury too?
I think credit to Dillon Brooks, who's amazing, and he was in foul trouble throughout game 2. That really hampered him. I think he mentioned that in the trash talk, that he did not appreciate LeBron talking back to him after he picked up his 4th foul, which just such a legend in all respects.
This is the most main character of main characters, man. This is Dillon Brooks' world, man. Holy. It only took 1 game. I love it.
It is. So, credit to him. But I wrote about this earlier this week. It's just when I watch LeBron, I don't see the lift. I don't see him attacking the basket like he normally would. He does not get to the free throw line like like we've known him to in big games. And there was a lot of credit given to Austin Reeves, deservedly so, at the end of game one when he kind of took over and was just hitting pull up after pull up against drop coverage. Shout out to him for that. And the credit was given to him. And it was also said that some people were saying that, LeBron knows what he has around him. LeBron doesn't need to take over. And I'm like, what game are you guys watching? Like, if LeBron could take over this game, he would. Like, it's LeBron James. What are we talking? It's a big playoff game on the road. This guy said after the All-Star break that these were the 23 biggest games of his entire career going into the playoffs. And now that he's here, he's going to let Austin Reeves take over the offense. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. So, I think that LeBron, for the Lakers to be a title contender, LeBron has to be the best player or the second best player on the court in every minute he's on there. He's been, the fourth best player in this series, maybe? So I don't know. Maybe it sounds like I'm being too harsh on him, but that's just the stakes with looking at this roster, which I still don't think is very good or very deep. I just don't have a lot of faith in him playing on one foot and getting the job done in the minute allotment that he needs to right now.
Yeah, I still believe in the Lakers just because I think LeBron can, I think about here in Toronto, very familiar what he can do in the playoffs, but just thinking about his run in 2018 when he just single-handedly carried that Cavs
That was
team.
so long ago.
I know, but that's the thing. It's that's what I was saying. To your point, it's you compare that to now, right? It's a completely different player now that he's not able to tap into that every game, and through the first two games, we haven't seen that. I don't know, man.
To be clear, LeBron did have 28 and 12.
Yeah, but
it wasn't like LeBron
but
just
we hold LeBron,
stunk up the joint.
We hold LeBron to this, greatest of all time behavior standard, right? And then he's clearly not that. But I still think
not today.
Yeah,
he didn't deserve it today. More Dillon Brooks drops today.
Yeah, I don't know what show you're walking to, Pina, but lots of drops coming your way today. I still think he can tap into that. Maybe not every game. I think too. We don't know the severity of Ja's injury. Obviously it did not look very good in game one. I don't know about you, Will. I feel still over the course of the 7 games, especially if Ja can't come back, I still like the Lakers in this series.
Yeah, no, me too. But I do think that this series is one of many, which I feel like for the subplot for this whole entire playoff run is sort of is the old guard going to do it again, or are we going to see a new champion, new stars emerge? Because to me, it's just there's so many teams, especially out west, they're just led by former greats or maybe even still current greats, but towards the latter end of their careers, and their teams aren't necessarily even in the top half of the bracket anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Warriors being in 6 with Steph Curry or KD and Kawhi, in the 4-5 matchup, which shouldn't ever be a 4-5 matchup. And of course, LeBron leading the 7th seed Lakers. This is sort of that time. Is the old guard going to win once again, or are we going to see some of the newer guys take it? And unfortunately, obviously this would have been a prime sort of Ja Morant sort of takeover kind of series, especially because I didn't feel like the Lakers had great, defensive options against them. Let's just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, he's not going to be here. But I think that's, for me, that's the subplot of the entire playoffs. Because I thought even last year, that was a great opportunity for obviously the Celtics to take it over the top, and of course then the Celtics get crowned and Jason Tatum gets crowned. But instead, it's the old guard that wins once again with Steph. So I think still for this series, though, the Lakers should still have more. I just think that they just need to find more ways to get into the paint and then kick out and get more 3-point attempts up. The fact that it only took 26 is pretty bad. The fact that it only made 7 is pretty bad. And then they're going to need more production from their guards, especially if LeBron's not really doing it. And I thought Reeves was fine. Honestly, if you told me Reeves has 12, 5, and 4, I'm not going to ask for that much more. I can't be too greedy about Austin Reeves.
That's the Austin Reeves standard, the 12, 5, and 4.
12, 5, and 4. It's not terrible. In 37 minutes, but I need more from Russell and I need more from Schroeder. And ultimately, if you're saying that in a playoff series, those aren't exactly proven playoff performers either. But I think that's where the Lakers are going to need more production, unless LeBron just completely takes over.
Yeah, no, I think too. The biggest red flag with D'Angelo Russell is when the Minnesota Timberwolves believe that you can't be part of their team. Like that's the red flag.
I don't think D'Lo's very good. I was kind of flabbergasted by his minutes in this one down the stretch. Like Schroeder played 16 minutes. Malik Beasley played 13 minutes. Like these are better options in crunch time unless you need another ball handler on the court because LeBron can't do it. And what I'll say real quick, I know we're harping on LeBron and the numbers were, the box score numbers are really good, but like in game one, there was one, I expected him to really hunt Ja Morant in ball screen actions. That's kind of his signature calling card.
Right.
And we saw in last year's playoffs, Patrick Beverley, like they opened up games in the first round with Patrick Beverley hunting Ja and having success. So that's what I thought that their strategy would be. And LeBron hunted Ja one time in game one. And the second Ja came up to guard the screen as man was setting the ball screen, LeBron just pulled up for a three and missed it. And he wasn't even engaging with backing Ja down in the post and all that. So I just don't think he's right physically. And you combine that with his age and wear and tear. I just don't think he's really close to being that like top 3 player in the world that he needs to be for this to carry this roster right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Before we move on, so, like you mentioned, Dillon Brooks, after the game, said that he doesn't care about LeBron, said he's old, said I poke bears. I don't respect someone until he gives me 40.
I like that.
Do you guys think, I'll start with you, Pina, do you think LeBron is giving him 40 at Staples Center this weekend?
It's obviously possible that LeBron will score 40 in game 3. I don't think it's wise for him to hunt 40 points. I'll say that. I don't think he can efficiently get 40 against this Grizzlies defense, which is, by the way, has the defensive player of the year on it, who's been just a total maniac in this series so far and has played great basketball, Jaren Jackson Jr. So I don't, he could get 40, but I think they would lose if he did.
What about you, Will? You think LeBron's going to come out like Cocaine Bear in game 3? What's going on?
By the way, I was just quickly hopped on StatMuse and typed in players who have scored 40 plus against the Grizzlies this season. I just wanted to see, you know what I mean?
Long list.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys on here. Shouts to Paul George. Shouts to Dame. No, but I mean, I just think it's fun. Like, this is just what the playoffs are really about, right? Like, we always knew that, like, this moment was coming. As soon as the Grizzlies won, Dillon Brooks is going to have a microphone in front of his face, and he was going to talk trash about LeBron. Like, we could have told you about this, like, before the series even started.
We talked about this as the main storyline before the series.
I'm just happy that the gauntlet has been thrown down. It's kind of a one-way gauntlet kind of thing. But, I mean, look, listen, either LeBron does
LeBron did
behavior.
trash talk him back, on the court.
Yeah, whatever.
Called him a bum.
I mean,
so
that's normal, right? Like, but like,
so it's not one way.
But no, this is special though from Dillon Brooks. Like, this is his way of
is it
getting
special?
in.
This is pretty normal.
So this isn't. So I'll say
it's
like
a win-win for us. He either gets 40 and it's great, or he doesn't get 40 and we can, I guess, laugh about it.
It's also a huge win for Dillon Brooks, who just keeps picking fights with people who are better than him at basketball. And I don't think that this is a Lance Stevenson versus LeBron or a Deshaun Stevenson versus LeBron situation. But like, I really hope people don't ever frame this as like 2 equals sparring on the basketball court.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
No, I've always had this problem too of just LeBron needs better rivals. Like, you make up the list. And, it's funny thing about Dillon Brooks's list too, because this year, if you give a top 3, it's like LeBron, Shannon Sharp, and Theo Pinson. Yeah, those are the 3 guys. 3 of the guys that Dillon Brooks has talked trash to.
Okay.
That's a pretty eclectic list.
I feel like it's longer than that.
No, it's definitely
I might have to type in StatMuse how many people have Dillon Brooks trash talked.
Yeah, we need a beef.
Everybody,
we
man.
need a beef muse.
He trash talked all of Toronto for the second time after coming here with the Grizzlies and beating the Raptors.
Oh, yeah.
He did that last time too, and then had like a great night out at Marble or whatever.
Oh, God. Anyways, another game last night. The Bucks without Giannis blew out the Navy SEALs of Miami.
Tough.
Milwaukee
Tough one.
hit 25 threes.
Damn.
Second team in NBA history to hit 25 or more three-pointers in a playoff game. Pina, what did you see from the Bucks, especially without Giannis?
Did you guys watch this game?
No, I'm going to say I
watched the highlights, man.
I bowed out of this one a little bit.
I was watching the other one, the Lakers.
I was focused on the Lakers Grizzlies.
This was just this was a peak NBA TV game right here. I can't lie and say I watched all 48 minutes and took copious
It's
notes.
okay. Like I said earlier this week, the vets who watch NBA, you got to pick and choose in the first round. You got to load manage a little bit.
They're literally on at the same time. How are you supposed to watch both?
Two screens, man.
I saw the score and I was like, I can't. I'm not sitting through this. This is asinine.
I'm glad Pina is team opt out. Like, I've opted out of Celtics Hawks until the Hawks win a quarter.
That one's completely fair, by the way. That one is there's no chance. I honestly, the Hawks, if they get one game, they should really celebrate that one and cherish it. But like, no, I just think having watched like a number of games this year, just because the Bucks happen to play the Raptors a lot with Giannis unavailable. I think he only played one of the matchups, maybe two. But like, Milwaukee has this different mode where they can really shift to where they can play a lot more middle pick and roll with Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez, and Lopez is really able to score a lot. I mean, his scoring went from like 10 points to 25 between game 1 and game 2. I thought he needed to play a lot better. He did. And of course, like they also just play with this like directness. Like they just inbound the ball really quickly, play very fast, and then as soon as they get one open three, they're taking it. And it just creates this approach where they can just like steamroll you once they start hitting from three. And obviously they were red hot last night. Like Joe Ingles went on like a personal 3-point barrage himself. He's on like the all slow player team, like the all slow mo team.
He's a white slow mo. I think. Okay. I just don't. I said this yesterday too. Like even without Giannis, I just don't think Miami's a good team. Like I just feel like Milwaukee just has enough to win the series. Like it was stressful for them to be down 1-0, needing to win this game. But like I wasn't too stressed for them even without Giannis.
I feel like I know exactly what Miami's going to do every single game. It's like dribble handoffs for one of their shooters. They're going to have Jimmy's either going to be like really take over playoff Jimmy or sort of like as a passenger, but still pretty good. And then they're going to go to their little dinky zone at all times. They're always going to go to that stupid zone. And like I watched the highlights and I was just like, how many times am I seeing Brook Lopez roll to the rim with like Gabe Vincent as the backline to help defender at the rim? Like that's not going to do anything, man. So like obviously I think Miami, especially without Giannis, can still make this competitive. And they have been competitive. Like 1-1 is pretty good for them right now. But
I just think we need to look at these. We need to look at some of these, the play-in teams like a Minnesota, Miami, Atlanta. Like there's a reason why they're in the play-in, and it's just different level of competition once they get here, right?
I think that you look at the guys who are in the starting five, even with Tyler Hero out, like they started Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Like these are 3 players who started in a playoff game. Like that is just not. It really speaks to the questions that Eric Spoelstra just doesn't have the answers to with this roster right now. And obviously Kyle Lowry is banged up and went last night, but continues to come off the bench. Brook Lopez is low key, like still capable of being the center of an offense and just someone who can absolutely immolate you inside the arc. He did not make a 3, which is just really surprising to see on this box score. He did not make a 3 last night, but finished with 25 points. Like it really speaks to his size advantage. And I mean, they had Max Strus at the 4. I watched like the first few possessions of the game. I'm not going to lie. And like, just like Max Strus trying to guard Brook Lopez in the post, just like a bucket. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah. No, the Heat, that's the Heat problem. Like they really just don't have enough size. Like even with a lot of their scrappy guards or whatever, you could say they play up. But like there's only so much like toughness and playing up you can get to until you can't like reach the top shelf, because that's what it feels like for a lot of these players, man. Like it's all guards on their team.
Hey, Duncan Robinson hit 4 threes. Wow, we got bubble Duncan Robinson and bubble Murray yesterday. Wow. That's not bad.
What a transition.
Missed out. No, I think the thing too, because I was looking, Pina, we were talking about, Wolves Nuggets, but before you hopped on, and like, I love, everyone was posting a lot of highlights from the bubble of like Jamal Murray after his impressive game yesterday. And I cannot stop laughing at the background of the Microsoft Teams digital fans who tapped in. This was only like, 3 years ago? And it's still like 2 years ago? And it was still so surreal to think about the bubble. Yeah, this is one thing we laugh about all the time, Pina, just the bubble.
No, I'm very weirded out watching highlights of games in the bubble, and the fact that that actually was a thing that happened is it's truly remarkable. And the digital fans just really added an element that you don't want to remember. Personally, I would like to forget that forever. Um, but Jamal Murray was great, and that's
Amazing.
like a huge like just a boon for the Denver Nuggets in a game where they gave up 40 in the third quarter and couldn't guard a pick and roll to save their life. And he really bailed them out. I thought Michael Porter Jr., who's just like suddenly the best 6'10 shooter who's ever lived. Not suddenly, he's been a really good shooter his whole career, but even just like that 4-point play where Torian Prince is up under him,
Hmm.
got the hand on his body as he rises, and you expect every single shot that he lets go to go in. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I thought this game really showcased like the fact that the Nuggets really aren't. I mean, it's obviously Jokic is so important to everything that they do, but they also have other guys that can be empowered to get their own offense and sort of like just play well cohesively. Like ultimately, like they're a team that's gonna have to win with offense. Like you're right. Like the pick and rolls for Minnesota, that's how they got back into the game. And but ultimately, man, the Nuggets really have another gear. And I thought, when Minnesota like took the lead briefly in the fourth
Mhm.
quarter, it was like, oh, those one of those gut check moments for a team. It's like, can you actually respond? And is there, some pressure on you? And the Nuggets just like simply came back on them. And of course, a lot of that was just Jamal Murray, who was just able to make every single shot. I mean, like, loved watching that performance. But I just thought the Nuggets play really well cohesively as a team. And obviously, Jokic being a big part of that. And honestly, from the Minnesota side, like, you know what? I'm really happy for them that they were at least able to make it competitive. I love watching Anthony Edwards. He played great, so I'm happy on that perspective. But like, I just can't get over Karl Anthony Towns, man. There's just
More turnovers,
Yeah.
5 turnovers, 3 field goals yesterday.
I
10
just
points.
I don't understand because there are certain moments where he looks kind of like really unstoppable. He puts it together, but you just know the other shoe's gonna drop. Defensively, he's not there, and I think for me, maybe the biggest thing with Towns is just like when things start not going his way, whether it's like a missed foul call here or a foul call there or whatever. He does this like stomping tantrum where he and it's like a very expressive thing, and I'm just like, dude, you're the biggest guy in the building. I just don't want to see this from
Should he
you.
get suspended for stomping as well?
Okay, relax.
No, it must be frustrating as a Wolves fan watching this. And I know, no one, no one's excited about this series because usually everyone's like, after a close game, being like, "Yo, we need 7 of these," or when it's close, it's like, "We need overtime." I was of the mind we need 4 of these.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank you, Jamal Murray. Let's just wrap this series up and just move on. Before we let you go, Pina, a couple other things I want to ask you. I read all your stuff just so I can pretend to know the NBA as well. And I believe I have this correct. Hope I'm not wrong. You did pick the Clippers in 7 before the first round, right?
You're damn right.
Yeah. How do you feel about that series after 2 games?
Phenomenal.
Hmm.
I feel phenomenal about my pick. Feel phenomenal about the Clippers. The reason I did it, well, number one reason is Kawhi Leonard, and I think he's the best player in the series. I think he's just one of the best playoff performers of all time in my life that I've ever seen, and I don't like betting against him. So that's number one. Number two is if you look at Phoenix's roster, it's just terrible. Behind obviously like KD and Book are two guys who are unstoppable. And we saw that in game 2 with those pull-ups over the drop coverage. But CP, he played really well in the second half of game 2, but defensively he's just not there. I mean, Bones Highland's eyes look like dinner plates when CP switches on to him. He just cooked him multiple times. And then the role, like Torrey Craig is playing out of his mind. I'd like to see that happen on the road. And then you just go down the list with this roster. I was curious to see how many people, or I was confounded by how many people picked this team to come out of the West when, like, beyond the fact that Kevin Durant is on the team, what is the rationale? He played 8 games for them. They beat one playoff team in those 8 games, and it was the Minnesota Timberwolves. And last year he was swept in the first round. So I just don't understand the confidence of picking Phoenix when I look at the Clippers, even without Paul George. They're just so deep, and they just have so many good players who can like just good two-way players, wings, valuable guys who can be in the fourth quarter. They can go big, they can go small, they can switch. I'm surprised Robert Covington didn't play in the fourth quarter of game 2 when Zubats was getting cooked with the drop coverage, but that's like a card that Ty Lue can play going forward if he wants to. So they just have a lot of answers, I think, for what Phoenix wants to do. And I hope it doesn't sound like I'm disrespecting KD and Booker, because I think those are two of the best offensive players in basketball. But I just, when push comes to shove, I'm not betting against Kawhi, and I really like the Clippers' depth.
That yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there. I do think that eventually, because I don't think Phoenix is going to win. I mean, they're definitely not winning a title this year, but like when they get to the offseason, what moves they make, I'm really curious, because like, yeah, they definitely have the two hardest pieces to get, which is like, you know, like Booker and KD together. That's amazing. But like, what else are you putting around them? And I didn't feel like at the trade deadline they had the full opportunity, or even in the buyout market, they didn't have that opportunity to fully like build the right system around them. So I'm curious to see what moves they make in the offseason. That's a prime offseason.
I just wish KD didn't sign that. What was it, like a 4-year extension to stay?
Yeah.
He just gave up the freedom to choose a team, right? And that's why.
But I mean, did he though?
But now
because ultimately the Nets were like, we traded you to the team you wanted.
But now you're joining teams where they have to give up assets to get you, right? Versus like kind of just having that free agency where you can pick your team. Like last time he joined the Warriors too, right? Last thing, Pina, you know, your NBA awards were heavily scrutinized on this show when you released them. Yeah, they were under investigation for a whole segment.
Right,
you don't remember this?
Yeah, that's right.
And you know, I'm just gonna, you know, pass this on to Will here, because like there's an ongoing thing where Will just hates Evan Mobley. And you know, he was shocked.
Come on, Will.
He was shocked to see, you know, you had Evan Mobley number 2, second on your Defensive Player of the Year ballot. And, you know, Evan Mobley showed up on a lot of ballots that we've seen so far for Defensive Player of the Year. So just want to give you guys a couple minutes here to discuss Evan Mobley, because it's been an ongoing topic here.
Okay, here's my thing. I do not dislike Evan Mobley. I believe in his talent. I just feel like we have just jumped ahead too far with him. Like, I've just heard too many, like, he's giving me Tim Duncan vibes. He's giving me Kevin Garnett vibes. It's just like, that should be really reserved for, like,
for Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because, like, for example, like Tim Duncan in his second season, by this point, he's already won a ring. You know what I mean? As, like, the clear-cut number 1 on both ends of the floor. And I think, for me, it's just, like, let's just wait until Evan gets to that point. I mean, defensively, there's no doubt. That's obviously the side of the ball where he excels right now. Defensively, I think he works really well in that pairing with Jared Allen. But, I mean, like, I don't know. I didn't agree with the fact that he was even in top 3 with in Defensive Player of the Year voting. If anything, I would have put Jared Allen. If I had to put a team from Cleveland, which, by the way, they were excellent on defense this season because of both of those guys. But I'd rather have Jared Allen as one of those candidates. So...
Yeah,
I know you disagree, so go ahead.
No, I think Evan Mobley is, well, I'll start by saying I watched, I think, every Cavs game this season, or almost every, like probably 75 Cavs games this season, because I wrote a profile about Mobley. So I went into the process with a like clear bias in that I had watched this dude from the jump this season. I mean, defensively, you talk to his teammates, they'll tell you he's the best defender on the team. You talk to Jared Allen, he'll tell you that, like, straight up. That's what he told me. His help defense is amazing, switches on to anybody, can protect the rim. I think that he does things that just so few guys in the league can do. He's not a drop rim protector. He can execute any pick and roll coverage, and they had the best defense in the NBA this season. And when he was at the 5, when they went small and Jared Allen was on the bench, they also had a defense that would have rated out as the best in the league. So I think Mobley's defense was just through the roof and unbelievable this season, all doing it without really ever getting into foul trouble. But offensively, I will agree with you to a point for sure that he's not Tim Duncan. That's a very fair statement. And he has a long way to go. And even if you just watch this series right now against the Knicks. Like he's just not being guarded at all when he's on the perimeter. Doesn't matter if he's in the strong side corner. Doesn't matter where he is. Needs to get stronger, which he has throughout the season. But in game one, couldn't really finish anything at the rim. Needs to get better defensive rebounding for sure. Has gotten bullied a tiny bit by Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle. But I think all in all, like defensively, he was up there for me. And I was surprised, honestly, that so many people felt the same way because there's just a lot of really good defensive player of the year candidates. But he's amazing. And I think that the strides he will make in the years to come on the offensive end will bear out, and he'll be an all-NBA, perennial all-NBA player, in my opinion.
No, for sure. And I think it was interesting watching this defensive player of the year race because first off, like the top three defenses in the league all had similar structures in the sense that they had a traditional center with also like a really, really scary weak side help, shot blocker, right? Like you look at, for example, Memphis, they had Steven Adams when he was healthy and then Jaren Jackson Jr. Of course, Jaren Jackson was able to play a lot more five with Steven Adams injured. And of course, he did a really great job in that role as well. That's why ultimately I think he won Defensive Player of the Year. But it was like the same thing in Cleveland with Mount Mobley. And then you have ultimately in the Bucks, you have the same thing with Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I feel like that's the part that's really hard to sort of parse out is like, who do you give more credit to? Like the center who is contesting probably the most shots, or that very versatile forward who's able to defend in all sorts of scenarios while also shifting sometimes playing small ball center. Because like to me, that seems like the defensive strategy that has clearly worked this season the best, having that two big pairing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's partly why I voted for Draymond Green, who has managed to avoid controversy since the postseason began, which is really
haven't even
great.
heard of his name until now.
But no, I totally agree with everything you're saying. Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So do you still hate Evan Mobley?
I never hated.
Oh,
Evan
okay.
Mobley. It was all just a Scotty Barnes ruse.
Oh, yeah, that's
we know what this was.
Oh, that's right.
This is a leftover from last year. It was the Cold War of the Rookie of the Year race.
Oh, right.
No one really cared that much about, but
Pina, do you root for the other Boston teams too, like the Bruins in the playoffs right now?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
So it's just mainly Celtics. Because I was just gonna ask you what it's like, because the Toronto Maple Leafs are down bad here again after losing 7-3 in game one.
One game.
It's been down bad for a while.
Okay.
Just what it's like to have a sports city like Boston.
Oh, get out
just
of here.
No, have so much success the last
Man,
couple
how much
of
time do you
decades.
guys have?
Hang on right now.
Like the Patriots had a dynasty run.
What are we doing?
The Bruins.
Well, it
have
all
been great.
started in 2000.
Ed Rogers, come in here and shut down this program. Right? I can't believe you're letting this happen.
I just want to know what it feels like because we don't know.
Boo this.
We
man.
don't. Who can we call locally? Who was around in 1967? I'm sure there are people who were around when the Leafs last won the Stanley
This guy
Cup.
wants to get Red Auerbach on the phone.
Am I getting tomatoes thrown at me today?
Yes.
What's going on? Okay.
Emotional damage.
Holy.
Do we need Pina? Voting's over, so we don't need anything else from Pina, right?
No, we're
He's
good.
sent in his ballot, so we're good.
You had OG on that ballot. We saw it was all good.
Yeah, no. Pina, did his job. Appreciate you. Everybody should check out all of Michael Pina's work at The Ringer, and appreciate you as always, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Of course. Thanks so much, guys.
All right, that was Michael
What?
Pina.
I'm not allowed to ask
Bro,
what it's like to
you're
be
really
in
gonna be
a
on a
successful
Toronto-
sports city.
You are going to be on the Toronto radio
We can't
station
explore all sides of this.
talking about, wow, how great is it for the city of Boston to have
No,
championships?
I'm not
Get
saying
outta
how
here,
great
man.
is it for
Get outta
Boston.
here.
I just want to know what it's like.
Man, we saw what it was like 2019. It was great, all right?
Saw
Imagine
it
if it was
once.
2019 every year. That's what it's like.
Well, I would like to. I can only imagine.
Chips with the dip. So bring them dips.
Yeah, that's what
I-
John Henry is probably saying or whatever.
I want to revisit more than one championship.
Yeah,
you
buy
know
some
what I'm saying?
midfielders, by the way, John Henry.
What?
He also owned Liverpool,
oh,
along with LeBron.
oh, damn! What
Yeah.
a crossover.
Yeah, I know.
All right, take a break and then
We're gonna take a break.
we'll continue on.
Okay, I've been your host, Willu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. When we come back, no more Boston praise, please.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Blue. Continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong, who wants to take us around the NBA. So what's going on around the NBA, Alex?
Yeah, first of all, apologies for asking about what the Boston
Yes,
fan
I
base
set up straight
feels
during the 5-minute
like.
break, man. I couldn't believe it.
I just got yelled at for 5 minutes. The Washington Wizards have dismissed general manager Tommy Shepard.
Damn.
Yeah. Any reactions to that? I don't really have anything to add about the Wizards except I don't think they've won 50 games since the 70s.
No, I mean, obviously, I just don't think that, like, this was a season where you look back on it. And I think for Washington, even though I don't know if they should have had expectations, but they did. And I think that for them to fall short of those once again.
But what are those expectations?
To get into the playoffs. That's all they really want to do.
Okay.
And they weren't even really that close to it ultimately. Like, you even have the play-in thing, and they weren't even in that. So I think, yeah, for them, like, the roster is it's okay. Like, I don't look at the Wizards necessarily like they don't have talent. They do have some talent, but obviously I don't think Beal is that, like, clear-cut number one type of talent.
And you're paying
like,
them a lot.
Yeah, you have to make decisions on Kyle Kuzma. You have to make decisions on Kristaps Porzingis. Those are pretty important players for them. Are they going to keep them in? Are they going to lock them in? Are they even willing to stay? And I also think that, like, you have small moves. Like, for example, you draft Rui Hachimura, like, with a lottery pick, right? And he doesn't really fully hit it off in Washington. It showed some flashes, but wasn't really a difference maker. And then you ship him off to the Lakers, where it's not like he's had, like, he's just been an entirely different guy, but he's been great in some of these moments.
Back-to-back 20-point games.
And
in
you
this
think about it,
Grizzlies
it's
series.
like, well, you also just then traded a lottery pick for 3 second-rounders.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? You traded $1 for 3 quarters. Like, it's not that's not it, right? And then, of course, you look at some of the other recent draft picks. They, have they really panned out? Like Denny, I thought, he took steps towards the end of the season, but, like, I don't think ultimately he's a difference maker really in the way that they need him to be. We'll see about Johnny Davis, but, like,
All right. We're really reaching
no,
today.
I'm just saying, like,
Please have
I'm
some
not
good
surprised, I
games
guess.
tonight, NBA.
They changed
please.
the coach, So.
Please. Masai, please have your presser. Someone on the Raps demand a trade or something.
I mean, it's
Just
off season, man.
Please, any news item, please come in.
Yeah. By the way, did you see that? I think the Athletic added in a little tiny note that rival executives expect the Wizards to at least call about Masai. No one has wanted Masai more than the Wizards, man. My goodness.
I don't want to hear from rival executives anymore.
Yeah, I
Every
agree
year,
with you,
rival
yeah.
executives just like, the Raptors are going to do the very obvious thing that everybody expects them to do. And
I
then
just don't
Masai
think
comes to the podium and says, we acquired Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah, rival executives aren't able to predict what the Raptors are going to do. No, but I do think that it is kind of funny, right? They're like, well, I mean, they went after Masai once before. Will they do it again?
You remember the Woj notification that hit the minute the Raptors won the
Yeah.
championship.
No, Masai was literally getting harassed by a cop.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Per
Woj
Adam
just
Silver,
like,
it was Masai's fault. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah. Anyways, Sacramento Kings head coach Mike Brown, first unanimous coach of the year
Mm-hmm.
in NBA history.
That's awesome, man.
Congrats. I think
I'm
this
surprised
was
this is the first one, though. Like, you telling me, like, the year Steve Kerr won, like, 73 games with the Warriors, he wasn't coach of the year
Yeah, that's
unanimously?
fair.
Or, like,
Yeah,
Eric
who got a
Spoelstra
vote
with
that year? Billy
like,
Donovan with the Thunder?
Greg Popovich when he won the ring again with
Yeah.
all those, like, older players and
You're
all those
right,
Kawhi
though.
on the way up. Like, this is the first unanimous?
No, I am a little surprised by
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Um,
Kings Warriors tonight. We talked at length yesterday about Draymond being out for this game.
Yeah.
You looking for the Warriors to bounce back tonight? You think this is still a series?
Man, okay, here's the thing. Like,
I'm ready. Man, I know we came in here last week too, and we need to delete the footage of us saying that we don't respect the Kings at all, and the Warriors got this. But
everybody
Warriors are
said
on the
that.
ropes, man.
If there's one team
Warriors
that you
are on
give
the
like
ropes.
unlimited chances to, it would be the Warriors because
Yeah.
they've really proven over time that they can be successful. But I think that they faced a really, really stern challenge here from the Kings. I do think that playing away from home is a new challenge for them. And we'll see. I mean, the Kings did have a pretty good road record, all things considered, but like I feel like in the playoff setting, it's maybe a little bit different. I'm also curious to see how the refs officiate this game. Like, if Sabonis picks up 3 early quick fouls in the first half, I'm gonna be suspicious, man. I'm gonna be like, I don't know. I don't know.
You're saying Sabonis might not be in the bonus tonight.
That's what I'm saying.
is
If the
your
Warriors are in the
prediction.
bonus against Sabonis, then you know I'm going to be a little suspicious.
I
but
mean,
yeah, it's obviously going to be a really, really difficult task without Draymond there. They're going to have to go smaller. They're going to need some of their role players to really step up there. And I think for the Warriors, like at least you're at home for this kind of opportunity to sort of, you know, lean on some of the younger players. Like, of course, you're going to see a lot more Kuminga, for example. We might see more Moses Moody. Probably not going to see JaMychal Green.
That doesn't have me that excited.
No, it doesn't.
Like
have me that
those are the
excited,
options that you're bringing in, right? I think the one thing we don't talk about, because the attention so much has been on the stomp that, you know, Draymond gave to Domantas Sabonis, is like removing him from the lineup on court. Like that's a huge hole to fill for them, especially in what is a must-win game.
No,
right?
absolutely. But I mean, I also enjoy seeing like great players with their backs against the wall. Like, and
This
I
is
wanna
going to
see
have to be
what Steph and Clay
yeah.
do more importantly than anything else.
This is
right?
going to have to be a huge Steph game.
And listen, like, man, can Jordan Poole just play positive basketball, please? Like, I understand he's playing through a minor injury or whatever, but like, it's the decision making, man. It's a minor injury in his decision making. Because, like, for me, it's just. I mean, we'll talk with Andy Liu later in the week. I can't wait
Tomorrow.
I can't wait for his reaction tomorrow. It's either gonna be really great or really great. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, and also I think maybe even as a casual fan, obviously I'm not a Warriors fan, but like I really do enjoy their style of basketball. And I guess I'm just not ready to sort of see them go out sad like this. You know?
Yeah.
So
They have won
hopefully they win.
They have won their minutes when Steph's been on the floor, but
He's
he
gonna have
already
to play-
played 40 the last game, so he might have to.
Right.
This might be 45.
And it's a very high endurance way that he wants to play because it's a lot of like running off ball and stuff like that too. So yeah, it's tough, man.
But Steve Kerr doesn't do the Nick Nurse thing where he just pushes the minutes like that. I feel like he's he's way more rigid in terms of like, when he's gonna sit the guys, right? So
well, he's all about the strength of numbers, and you know we have like a bench.
Oh yeah,
and everyone has
strength
a
in numbers has been replaced by gold blooded. Don't forget that. That's the new one.
Got you.
Gold blooded.
Yeah. See your doctor if you're gold
By
blooded.
the way,
Never liked that phrase.
yeah, no, I think it's interesting too. You know, looking at the big picture of this series, like where do the Warriors go from here, right? Like assuming that the run goes short. Like Klay Thompson has been reported that he wants a max contract extension. We know that Draymond's got the player option. We know that, you know, players like Damian Lillard have been actively recruiting Draymond. No one has been a bigger supporter of Draymond's stomp this week than Dame Lillard.
No, I hear you, man. No, Dame is down horrendous. If you notice, with Dame, all he really stands is like defensive players. Like, you know, this guy would
He's
be
been
like
doing this forever.
This guy would be like coveting OG. You know what I mean? Coveting some of these other guys, like Draymond obviously fits his profile. Like, no, salute to Dame, man. You better pray he doesn't win a championship.
You better pray he doesn't tweet in the first round.
No, man, he's preying on Draymond for sure. But no, I do feel like those are decisions that are a lot easier to make when you win versus when you lose. And I feel like last year, for example, they had some tough decisions to make. They ultimately made them, and they paid a guy like Poole, they paid a guy like Wiggins, right? But that was easy to do when they won. And it's, if they ultimately fall short of their goals, then you might see the end of that era. And again, like, man, it's like, for me, like watching basketball in this time, there's been like two eras in my like 20 years of watching basketball. It's like the LeBron era, which has actually been just this whole 20 years, but obviously more prominent throughout in certain portions of it. And then the Warriors era. And like, I don't know, we're really transitioning to next. You know what I mean? We're transitioning to this like unknown kind of like more open era, which I feel like it was already reflected in the regular season with so much parity. But you have no idea who the next like dynasty kind of thing is going to be. And I feel like basketball is in a better place when they ultimately have dynasties.
Yeah, we're transitioning to the in-season tournament era, man. You know, excited about that?
That's fine, man. I'm curious to see the new jerseys. You know what I mean? Imagine walking down the street. It's like, oh my God, is that a Pascal Siakam in-season tournament jersey?
Is there 3 patches on
heat.
it instead of 1? Also,
can't wait to see someone pull up at Christie Pitts with one of those.
That's hot.
I want to know too. You know how teams get to have a tab in the back of their jersey if they've won a championship?
Yeah.
You get a little tab if you win the in-season tournament.
Sure, on the bottom of the jersey.
Can the Charlotte Hornets get a little tab?
No, they're not gonna get those. But I do wonder if people are gonna brag about winning the double, because that's a big thing in soccer. Like,
oh, okay. So like if they win the tournament,
double, win the treble. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know what the treble in this could be. Like win the play-in tournament as well, I guess.
I'm making the prediction right now. I'm giving the in-season tournament 3 years, 3 seasons.
No,
I think they're gonna bail on it.
I feel like the NBA commits to these things. Like, why don't they really sidestep
I just
backwards?
think it's very set up to fail.
Also, by the way, I feel like maybe this is me just watching too much basketball relative to other sports, but like, do other sports like experiment as much as the basketball does? Like, they'll just do like random stuff, like here's a new synthetic basketball, and it's like, who asked
Oh yeah,
for
they
this?
introduced the ball, they got rid of it.
Right? So,
Anyways, Kipper and Bourne coming up 10-0 Leafs tonight.
well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well,
We'll have
anyway.
Andy Lou tomorrow.
That's us for us today, though. I've been your host, Willow, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Thanks once again to Michael Pina of The Ringer, producer and co-host Alex Wong, board producer Derek Brandell, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping the YouTube stream. Toronto Maple Leafs, please win it for my dad, okay?